Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first from the mouth of Abby Evans. Jesus is a vampire.
The podcast you're about to listen to may contain objectionable language, adult and/or immature content, mentions of Jesus Christ, and unironic readings of holy Christian scriptures. If any of this is likely to offend you in a manner that you find less than enjoyable, maybe don't listen.
Hi, I'm Pastor Bob Schaefer.
And I'm Pastor Eric Damon. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to A Comedians, with pastors talking Bible short takes.
Short takes what enables us to do it weekly now.
It is. We're dropping this funny, irreverent, thought-provoking stuff every single week with comedians talking about the Bible and looking at the texts from the Revised Common Lectionary.
But every other week, we drop the introductory banter with featured comedians that we get to know, and instead we dive right into Scripture with our resident comic theologians, Eric and Abby.
You already know who I am. I'm Abby Evans.
I was about to ask, who are you? Even though it's more likely that you would ask who I am after I shaved the beard I had for a long time. I'm Eric Williams.
With the baby face. Yeah. What did you do with your beard when you shaved it off? Did you keep it?
So I lined the kitchen, not the kitchen sink. That would have been monstrous. The bathroom sink with paper towels, and I shaved it off so that I could just collect it all and put it in the trash can.
So you didn't just take a board, like a nice sort of varnished board, and then put some glue on it and put the
I did not ornament my beard.
A plaque that you could keep forever and maybe give to somebody as an award?
I did not call it Mother, no.
You didn't stuff a pillow with it.
Nope. Put it in the trash can. Dispose of it like a body.
I mean, as glorious a beard as that was, it'd be a pretty small pillow, like a little tooth fairy pillow or something.
You're also a baby kid. Don't you normally have a little something?
I just observed the first year, no beard. So, yeah, it's been a while. But we are not here to talk about
You know who else had a beard?
J.E. Comedians with pastors talking beards.
It's still CPTB.
We filled the fast one on you this week. Abby, how about your beard?
He's right here.
Do have a sizable chunk of Scripture to get into. As is our habit, though, we like to tell any potential new listeners how it is that we approach the Scriptures.
Because this is so big, let's be right to the point. We like the Bible, we believe the Bible, and we treat it as our yardstick for life. But we don't necessarily consider it to be literal in every single word. It's true, but lots of things are true without being literal. It points us to Jesus, and that's the thing that matters.
That's a nice little summation.
Yeah.
The Bible's an important thing for us.
We need Oh, no, go ahead.
I was really, that was a knee-jerk. You were good to interrupt, but I will give that to say we do have a sizable chunk of Scripture this week, and so we are going to go about it in a slightly different way.
Yeah, interrupting me is going to be the rule of the day.
We have our we have that noise, which lets you know that we would like to stop Bob from reading and talk to him about something he read. So instead of just trying to digest an entire huge chunk of Scripture and then go back and discuss it, we'll pause throughout the reading and discuss what may have jumped out to us. And if you get through the entire thing without us blowing whistles, we'll leave and go bye-bye.
And that'll be the dumbest episode ever. And that's saying something for this pod. Okay, we are going to be looking at the fifth Sunday in Lent, March 22nd, 2026, and our reading is from the Gospel of John, chapter 11, verses 1 through 45, which I'm going to say is probably pretty much the entirety of John chapter 11. So here we go. Now, a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother, Lazarus, was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, "Lord, he whom you love is ill." But when Jesus heard it, he said, "This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was.
I really just wanted to do that. I don't know if it's the last place, but I think there is the idea presented that something like illness and death is an intentional part of God's plan for God's own glorification is built into this text and also very problematic and worth discussing. Because it's built into the text. I mean, Jesus says it right there. This illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. There is a right on the surface level of the text that something bad has happened that was meant to happen, which theologically goes against the whole idea that all good things are from God and all bad things are as opposed to God's will.
Well, that's debatable because you're like, oh, it's a bad thing because he's sick. But I'm like, but he's not going to lead to death. That's a good thing. And you're like, no, it's a bad thing because there's a bad thing. I was like, but if it results in a good thing, is it a bad thing or is it a good thing? You know, like two negatives make a positive.
If we never had bad things, we wouldn't appreciate the good.
Also, my biggest issue actually is that Jesus refers to himself in the third person.
Again, coming back to the Muppets, but that's the Elmo shit he's on.
And this is,
So then the Son of God, Jesus, you can just say me. You can just say me, so then I.
the Son of God says, "Sit down and shut the fuck up." No, that's inappropriate. But so this is the setup though for the whole thing, right? I mean, when you guys are telling a joke, especially one that's kind of a long storytelling one, you have to set it up right. And this is Jesus setting up what is going to be, in this case, not a punchline, unless you want to say it's kind of a joke on the devil, which kind of is true. But this is like the setup for the whole story. And it's also like kind of classic Jesus. Like, you know, we've talked in the past about how he sometimes will say something that is kind of cryptic and ambiguous, and it could be interpreted a couple of different ways. And here him saying, this is not a sickness that leads to death, is the kind of thing that he clearly means it one way, and he allows the disciples to hear it in the way that one naturally would. In other words, Lazarus is going to get better. Yeah, he is. But this story is going to get a lot darker before we get there.
I like how this story is the appetizer for the main course.
Unpack.
It's the first 5 minutes of Up. You're like, we got a story to set us up for the actual
Oh,
story.
man, you just gutted me right here.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the main story, but like, weren't you just like so emotionally invested?
So I said the appetizer for the main course because I believe we've covered this on the podcast before. What happens with Lazarus and what does that foreshadow?
Let's find out.
Once you bring it.
We continue with verse 7. Then after this, he said to the disciples, "Let us go to Judea again." The disciples said to him, "Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and are you going there again?"
Just reminding what I just learned, that rabbi does not mean that he is a Jewish religious figure. It means that he is the teacher person.
I mean, it because it's in the language it's taken from, it puts him in the Jewish culture, but it is not an official designation.
Also that the Judeans were trying to get Jesus stoned, and he knew just to say no. Continuing, verse 9. Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble because the light is not in them." After saying this, he told them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him." The disciples said to him, "Lord, if he's fallen asleep, he will be all right." Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought that he was referring merely to sleep.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, then Jesus told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead. For your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him."
Just pointing out that Thomas, who
It's not doubting Thomas.
doubting Thomas fame,
And is not a taken.
and he is not taken. He is the twin, and often that is interpreted to mean that he is similar enough to Jesus, that Jesus was the one that he is the twin of.
Does that mean that Thomas is the real traitor? Okay, we've all read A Tale of Two Cities, or at least the Spark Notes, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how does that end? Sidney Carton does what?
I did not respond. Yes, I have not read Tale of Two. I'm looking for this.
So spoiler,
So you can be reliably counted upon for the information, correct?
Sidney Carton is the Columbo Matlock lawyer who is introduced as like this bumbling looking guy defending this client who looks very much like him, which is actually his defense of the client. It's how he gets him off by pointing out to a witness, "How do you know it was that guy you saw my defendant and not me?" And then at the end, his defendant, Charles, is to be executed in France because he is of the bourgeoisie, and fucking Sidney Carton goes in and switches places with him because they look so similar, because Sidney is in love with Charles's wife, and that is how it ends. Sidney dies so that Charles can live because they look similar. And I'm just saying, Thomas could have gone up on that cross, but Jesus was probably like, no, I gotta show them all that I can Lazarus this bitch. So I just spoiled the story we're telling.
It's in the public domain. You pay it.
There are Gnostic theories that the church rejected, that Jesus in fact was not the one who was crucified, but that there was a last-minute switcheroo and somebody else was crucified in his place, and
And it would have been Thomas. I mean, if it's not the twin, was there like Harry the Tridivalist?
That'd be Thomas and Jesus are famously in the room together when the doubting Thomas.
yeah, but now it was doubting Jesus who was but theories have reappeared.
The whole idea was that
Third base.
the whole idea of this rejected theory is that it was a fake. So that means we now have to have the triplet instead of the twin involved. That's why it got rejected.
Harry the Triplet.
It didn't hold up.
So let us just note
Tripentario.
Thomas is in fact a tank engine of loyalty to Jesus. that they are going into danger with him.
Yeah, that was all I was pointing out. The one who gets such a bad rap for suggesting maybe it's difficult to believe that the guy that I watched die a torturous death showed up and hung out with you guys last week. And here he is saying, let's go die with him. That seems like a pretty loyal friend to me.
Isn't that the definition of ride or die?
And I mean, he's riding and dying.
Ride and die. I like that.
America, you can have both. In fact, we want you to have both, especially if die is the second part of that.
In the Los Dos.
Die.
All right, here we go. Verse 17. We're like a third of the way through this thing. When Jesus arrived, and this is at Bethany, by the way, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. And that's 4, F-O-U-R, 4 days. 4 days. Now, Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." When she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately, "The teacher is here and is calling for you." And when she heard it, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews were with her in the house, consoling her, and they saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who...
Just going, just connecting that back to my, not issue with the text of it, but just issue theologically, in the way we present it in the beginning, that Jesus presents that his sickness is to glorify God. And here we have the declaration, if you had been here, they would not have died. And this embodies such everything that the cross is supposed to say, our faith does not embody, that God makes these bad things happen, and we would have gotten through it. It wouldn't have led to death if Jesus would have been there to rescue us in the last minute. And it's just, there's a lot happening here that can go sideways if we let it.
I think it's worth noting that both of the sisters say this to Jesus. And that has the feel of, this is something that they have said to each other, that this is something that has been on their minds, that we told Jesus.
They've been bitching about him.
Yeah. The first thing out of their mouth is, if you had been here, Lazarus would still be here. And they both name that right out of the gate. Now, Martha takes a little bit slightly different tack, and she kind of does and what are you going to do about it?
Do you think Jesus ever went, "Martha, Martha, Martha"?
He kind of almost did in that other story.
Yeah, there's in the Mary and Martha story, where Martha is the one running around trying to do all of the work, and she comes off complaining that Mary's being lazy. He kind of does, "Martha, Martha, Martha."
He switches from Jesus mode to Janice mode.
I remember that reading. I just missed the Brady Bunch reference at that point. Making up for it now.
Jesus was very much ahead of his time. But yeah, I think that is something that is really at the heart of this text, that this is something that when they are both laying that out there right from the get-go, that this is something they have been thinking, and I would say saying for 4 days.
And I think it is, to me, the worthwhile comment is that what is being embodied here is not a theological comment of the nature of God, but a ontological comment of the nature of being human up against tragedy. That if God had been here, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, this is a lament worthy of the Psalms. That, where are you, God? How long until we can have some joy restored to us? It is not a correct comment on the nature of God in relationship to tragedies. So in this case, Jesus wasn't there, but so, I mean, there's that backpedal. In this case, in this specific story, Jesus actually did go, well, we're going to wait a while and let him die before he shows up. So
Yeah, so I mean, and now I keep going back to the experience of the sisters and of Lazarus, for God's sake, of Lazarus. He's ill. They have sent for help. So how long does it take for the message to get to Jesus? Maybe a day, maybe 2 days. Jesus dilly-dallies around for 2 days. So Lazarus is sitting there sick and dying and wondering, will his friend come? And Jesus is like, maybe not. It's okay. And then he dies, and still it takes 4 days for him to get his ass there.
Okay, so
I'm a little bit angry on behalf of the family here.
I hear that, but again, this is a precursor. This is the foreshadowing for when Jesus isn't going to be there, but he's going to be there.
Doing it for the plot.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to be such a drama queen, though. You know,
I mean, he's the son of God. He does drop that from time to time. It's a little bit his God.
Listen, you know better than me. Number of church attendees are dropping. We gotta up the theater. Okay? Those mega churches, and I don't support them, but they know how to draw a crowd.
And this is actually true, though. Like, the delay is, in fact, for a reason, and it is a visceral one that we will get to. Because I was thinking, why couldn't he have just, made his point by showing up at the last minute, Lazarus dies, and, then a minute later, Jesus raises him. And,
Because then people won't think he was dead.
And this is where we get to the detail here that is really quite something. So let's see.
Let us have it.
Yes, here we go. Mary's saying, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And continuing in verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, where have you laid him? And they said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, see how he loved him. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? Good question. That's not in the text. Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, already there is a stench, because he has been dead 4 days. Jesus said to her,
Just real quick, if we're having empathy for Lazarus, he's the stink. You're involved. Part of Jesus' theatrics have made Lazarus be the stink in this story. I'm mad at Jesus on Lazarus' behalf.
Also, maybe it's like a little. I just feel like having Martha, the sister of the dead man, like, why are you rubbing salt in the wound? Like, we get it. He's dead. He's so dead, and he's so not coming back. This is not how stories start. But I don't know. That just stuck out to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is very much on purpose, that they are driving home. He is dead, and he's dead because of natural causes, but also he's dead because the one who could have saved him chose not to.
And he's dead. Right?
He's
mostly dead.
He's stinky dead.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're stinky.
Look,
And they're stinky, and then they're stinky dead.
I hear that, and like I understand like the history and that, like decomposition and all that. I was like, but maybe I don't know if Jesus is covering or his throwing shit. Like, first of all, do we know that Lazarus didn't stink before he died? But maybe he had a BO issue. Maybe maybe they were Martha and Mary were washing Jesus' feet because we never do this for Lazarus. His are just
But back in those
40 days of pre-refrigeration rye is a stink that goes beyond.
maybe they had frankincense and myrrh they could have used.
back in those days, everyone stunk. But like you said, like 4 days pre-refrigeration death is like it's a different level of stink.
Sealed in with a stone. That's yeah.
And here's something that I don't know that I've ever thought about before, but imagine the trauma that the sisters and those who are mourning are anticipating, that Jesus says, open that sucker up. And they know that what they're going to find inside. They know that there's a stinky, rotting corpse of someone that they loved on the other side of that stone. And that when Jesus has them take that away, that they are going to have to see the corpse and are going to have to smell the corpse. And the trauma in this, of course, they are saying, Martha is like so polite in this. She points this out, but like in a way that, she's not saying, oh, hell no, you're not going to do that. She's like, Lord, you may not have realized this, but he's going to smell.
Have you guys ever seen the Mike Flanagan miniseries, Midnight Mass? I can't remember if I brought this up, but basically, and I'll keep it short, but it is it's Catholic Salem's Lot. It's about a small, isolated town that's actually on an island, and the new priest becomes a vampire, and but he doesn't realize he's a vampire. He thinks an angel of the Lord has given him immortality, and he's like, I'm going to heal the townspeople of all their woes, and I'm going to give them immortal life, but he's actually just turning them all into vampires. Really great watch, highly recommend. but like there's a scene whenever he's giving communion to the congregation, and then he has to walk up to the girl who's in the wheelchair. He's like, no, I'm gonna make her walk. So he goes upstairs and he's like, you have to come to me. And everyone is like, what the fuck are you doing, Father? Like, this, you're blah, blah, blah. But then the girl stands and she walks and they're like, oh my God, he created a miracle. So, like, there's a thing where, like, Jesus, like, kind of has to present as a dick. Like, he has to, like, if he really wants to sell the fact that he is making a miracle, then, like, you really have to, like, almost hate him. Like, he really has to be a dick.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first from the mouth of Abby Evans. Jesus is a vampire.
And also, yeah.
I think you are right. I mean, not about him being a vampire. And we can discuss whether he's a dick or not. But I mean, this is like the intentional thing, right? That he does need this to be, for it to be the sign that he wants it to be. He needs for it to be clear that Lazarus really has died.
Okay, I have the dumbest wordplay joke ever. Like, this is really stupid. Lord, already there's a stench because he has been dead 4 days. Okay, man, but how many days has he been dead for? 4.
I know he's been dead for days, but how many days? Give me a number. 4. You know, like 1, 2, 3, eyes.
He's on first. Third base.
All right, let's go to disturbed Jesus, who probably had crazy eyes. And he says, take away the stone. Martha says, it's going to reek. And Jesus said to her, verse 40, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? So they took away the stone. And Jesus looked upward and said, Father, so here, I'm going to blow the whistle for me. So here, Jesus extends it, right? It's not that they roll away the stone and they find Lazarus miraculously okay. They roll away the stone and it reeks and Lazarus is dead. And then Jesus says his prayer. So Jesus really is drawing this out for every possible person who might say, oh no, he wasn't really dead. He wasn't really raised. This is like establishing the chain of evidence here so that you know that this thing really happened. That's what Jesus is up to. And boy, it's kind of ugly, but it's also the glory of God. And sometimes the glory of God involves ugly crying. All right, let's see. He prays, Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me. When he had said this, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, unbind him and let him go. Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him.
So for those who know the story, you have many, because of this, believed in him. This is also the moment that the plot to have Jesus killed begins. This is the moment where the nice teacher, who might be rabble-rousing a bit, but is also kind of fun to listen to, represents an actual threat to the powers that be, and they have to begin the plot.
There's also a short-sighted irony there. Hey, man, this guy can bring people back to life. You know what we have to do? We have to kill him. Okay, so let me be clear about this. There's this guy who can bring people back to life. Yes. And you want us to kill him. Yes. And you don't see any possible issues with that idea. No way at all that could backfire for you in this. No! What's he going to do? Bring himself back to life?
Can't see how that could go wrong at all.
No, not at all.
Also, when are we watching and reviewing as a group Knives Out 3 Wake Up Dead Man?
You know, we're we have floated the ideas about like a various CPTB watch party kind of specials, but you know, We're just doing well if we can produce the regular content.
That's very fair. I saw this specific story,
But yeah, this is one of the things that I like. We can go a few minutes long.
because Jesus is basically like, "Hey, wake up, dead man!" Like that's what he yells at Lazarus.
I mean, I love film and books and TV and looking at them through a theological lens and saying this thing that is not necessarily about the Bible or about faith on the face of it still speaks to something that is true and might connect to our faith. I think that's once you learn to be a theologian, there isn't anything in the world that you don't look at theologically or that you can't look at theologically.
In seminary, we were made to watch Mad Max Fury Road for our study of apocalyptic literature. We were, for the study of Daniel, we were made to watch Spaceballs.
I like to imagine that John the Baptist was the guy with the guitar on top of the truck.
Time out. I understand the first one. I understand Mad Max Fury Road for apocalyptic. How does Spaceballs relate to the story of Daniel?
So the whole book of Daniel has a lot of what that professor presented as the prototype of Jewish humor.
Okay.
And Spaceballs has a lot of mocking of Hitler-type figures.
Oh, so you expect me to believe that Mel Brooks is a Jewish humorist?
That's at least the theory that presented for his PhD.
So here's something that I am.
Shout out Mel Brooks. We don't need to wake him up because he's still alive.
Spaceballs 2 coming out soon. So yeah, we'll have a CPTB watch party for that one too. We've just added to the list. So here's one of the things that I wonder about. How do you think that the relationship between this family and Jesus looked after this moment? I mean, so we are doing something here. I'm inviting you to do something that the Bible really doesn't, because the Bible is not about psychologizing people. You know, it doesn't invite you to get into their heads. But I feel like this is such a human story that I want to get into the heads of this very real family who went through this trauma.
What is Lazarus's last name?
Lazarus. Did people have last names? They did.
It was
like the carpenter, the Baptist. What did he do? What was the?
It's so great to have you back on Lazarus the Zombie.
It seems
Well,
like
their middle name was so he was either Lazarus the Zombie or Lazarus Zombie.
yeah, I mean, it seems like they were named by their town of birth or where they lived or their occupation. There were a number of different naming schemes that way. Really, you just needed to be able to tell, this John from this John from this John.
So great to have you back. Lazarus still smells bad.
Stinky Laz. Yeah, I mean, what is that like? What is your relationship with Jesus if you were friends before, and then you got sick and he didn't come for you, and then you died, and whatever that experience is like, and then he brings you back, and presumably you stopped stinking? I mean, I'm guessing that however Jesus raised you, he was
Divine miracles. They washed the zombie stench off of you.
And so Lazarus, but his clothes that he's wearing, the things that he's wrapped in, those probably still reeked.
That's why they had to unbind him.
Yeah.
He didn't just let him go in his stinky clothes. He said unbind him, and then he had to walk up naked.
Is the terror and the trauma of that experience something that you ever get past? Or is poor Lazarus, now forever marked by Jesus' visual aid?
You think that there's no such thing as a unique experience. I think this is truly a unique experience. It's kind of like a David Lynch movie. Like, I've never met anyone where that's kind of happened to them.
Lazarus is never hanging out in a party where people are like, me?
What? I mean, does Lazarus become a local celebrity? I mean, actually, the word is that they want to kill him, too.
I wonder if it's just, like, one of those things. Like, have you ever met an old man who fought in Vietnam that just, like, will not talk about it? I think this is Vietnam. Like, this is the jungle. Like, we just don't.
Also, these people with their want for power aren't really thinking this out. Hey, you know that guy that got brought back to life? Yeah, we need to kill him. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
And suddenly it becomes, oh my God, you killed Lazarus, you bastard. And then back the next episode.
These aren't like early humans. Well, depends on like what you believe in, but like we're like very, like this is like very early after the birth of Christ. So I just feel like, at least in this case, like we're all just learning how to be humans. Like we haven't even talked about like capitalism or like the 40-hour work week yet. Like, and now you want to grapple with death and the fact that you've come back from death.
40-hour work week. There hasn't even been the Battle of Blair Mountain yet.
Really has been the rise of the Roman Empire. There's been some human shit has happened.
Human shit has happened, but not this. And it hasn't happened since then. So
Gypsies have been thriving. That is very accurate.
And Elisha has raised somebody from the dead. So there's at least one other person in history that Lazarus can be like, damn it, if they were still alive.
Okay, I will feel. I don't think we have time for this, but I'm like, wait, Elisha? What?
Well,
Jesus is a hack?
I take back what I
Elisha was really a hack. The whole traveling of Elisha was mimicking Elijah's journey. But Elisha was a hack who had to one-up Elijah the whole time.
Oh, okay. So it's like that Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman movie.
You're not going to get a chance to take it back.
I was gonna say no, never mind. I was gonna say like we are like a couple centuries out from like understanding the concept of like comas. So like this is like the era when we would just kind of like throw people in like we didn't check people's pulses back. Like a lot of people were prematurely buried. So I think you're right. Lazarus is not the only person that has been dead for 4 days, but
And in a serious response, there are people who try and take the biblical text throughout and find scientific explanations to this. Could have been X, Y, or Z. This demon could have been a mental illness. It could have. Part of our intro that we don't hear everything is literally true, but we do take the Bible as truth, is that we will take the narrative of this story that Lazarus was dead. He was dead, as a true declaration in the story. They didn't just mess up that he was dead and he was actually in a coma. Lazarus was dead.
Is he not a David Lynch TV show?
He was
not in a coma. He's dead.
He's dead, and then he comes back. It is a resuscitation and not a resurrection because he will die again, which
Wait, time out. A resurrection? Oh,
Jesus, you died. Jesus is resurrected and will not die again. Heard. He is resuscitated. He will die again. The Ray Wiley Hubbard song, at least we're not Lazarus and have to think about dying twice.
So, and now, Eric, you are usually really good about asking us at the end where there is good news.
I would actually going to wrap this one up by saying this is the fifth Sunday in Lent. We're heading to Holy Week. I do not feel the obligation as we head into Holy Week to wrap up the sermon with good news. We're about to head to the central narrative of our faith. And as Eric, the other Eric, has been pointing out the whole episode, this is a foreshadowing of that narrative. We can sit in that and just carry the limited human version of resurrection, the resuscitation with you as we head into a story that cannot be explained but can only be experienced through the full story.
Okay, so with that, that's all, folks. I'm going to have to ask you guys where you're going to be funny.
March 27th, come to Muppets March Madness at Mr. Smell's Funhouse at 8 p.m.
Everything that Abby said. Comical E-dubs on Instagram.
It's Abby E on literally everything.
And you'll find all of us at CPTB POD at CPTB Pod. And so you are still here listening. We're sorry if we offended you very much.
But you did it to yourself. We say this every time. The apology is null. It is void. It's your fault.
Self-harm by podcast really isn't cool. You need to get some help. We're concerned for you. But before you do that, would you like, subscribe, and share us with all the people you think are going to like us?
Share us with all the people you're absolutely certain will not like us. We'll take the listeners.
And we will be back in a week with more funny and more pod God talk.
Until then, may the Holy Spirit do her thing in your life.